Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the Ascension Playground. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by my friend Tara. She and I met through Julia Balaz's course called the Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioners Group. And for the last several years, have celebrated each other's journey and recently had this discussion after the 2026 Global Summit that something extraordinary has happened in Tara's life that is meeting the moment of acceleration. Strange and amazing things are happening in our dream time, in our waking world. And for those of you who can slow down enough to meditate, amazing things are going on. So, this little chat is to focus and welcome Tara to the Ascension Playground, but also to hear about what's going on. So, welcome, Tara.
Thank you so much, Ursula. I'm really so glad we're having this conversation. And you know, I our reason for having it was it just made sense to share this with more people. I know that what information came through for me needed to be shared. And that isn't something that I've really done yet. In working with charts, that's one thing, in looking at the astrology, but in receiving a transmission, in receiving this downloaded information that was so clear, it was kind of disruptive for me because it was so clear. And I sat with it thinking, oh, well, what do I do with this? I need to do something. This is not just for me. So yeah, I'm still feeling, it's very recent and I'm still feeling the energy from this. So thank you for helping facilitate this clarity and sharing.
Well, if I could add, when we spoke offline a couple days ago, your sharing of this experience that happened in January of 2026, it sent shockwaves into my own field and I was sparking. And so that's usually what I need for the prompt to help me. Like, I either need a poke or like these electrical volts. But if I could add, yes, Tara, you are an incredible galactic astrology reader and other beautiful, energetic modalities are in your toolkit. So, in your past, as we tee this up for that moment that things happened in January, is there anything else that you want to share about this journey that step by step to bring you into Julia's certificate program?
Yeah, so it was very in Plutonian, I'll say, alchemical journey that led me up to that point. And so the real deep intensity has been, it probably started around, interestingly, for everyone in 2020 to some extent. This started just before that, couple of years before that for me. And then in about 21, 22, I led into this astrology program because as soon as I saw and felt that heart focused energy when I was hearing Julia speak about the modality and in what way, like the energy and the information that comes forward was what really caught me. And I knew because at that time I was already certified as a Choose Love practitioner. And so that is an Akashic reading, which is very specific, and then also guiding individuals through the integration of this to uncover their soul's light. And so it's very heart centered alchemical work.
Mm.
And as the name suggests, it's really just always about choosing love, no matter what the situation is, the story was, whatever it is that is holding us or that we're holding on to that feels dark and heavy, and that, if only, and how did this happen? All of those limiting thoughts, no matter what the instance or incident was, choosing love is the answer. And it might feel like a very oversimplified response to really difficult and complicated problems or circumstances. And believe me, I can relate to that, saying, like, well, okay, that's a nice concept, but okay, there's life. It's a little complicated, and that sounds a little oversimplified. There's ways to work through that a little bite at a time. And so I arrived at the beautiful opening of astrology through Julia because it was the right avenue to what I already knew, but had pushed away, pushed back. And I mean, lifetimes I'm talking about too. So it was the right connection, the right frequency to help unlock that path.
And I love how you've taken all of your journey and steps, and you now currently have a beautiful website called Quantum Sunrise. Let me go ahead and share that a little bit. Quantum Sunrise, welcoming the dawn of cosmic consciousness. I love that title. And then here comes Galactic Astrology, if you want a reading. So it's very high level. And so I would say if anyone's interested in learning more about Tara's good work, Tara, you amaze me how like you really do absorb the material. So you and I, we agreed we're both rather analytical. We like to help other people. But in January, when something happened, and this kind of explains everybody the background that I have and the background that Tara is using. I
Yes.
have the star Sirius here, the brightest star in our heavens, connected to Canis Major, the constellation. And then this is 3i Atlas. So those are my two little, guess what we're going to be talking about today?
And yes, I have the glyph for Sirius up here. This is a medieval glyph, so ancient astrologers would have used this sign, and the constellation here with Sirius and other stars in the Canis Major system. Yeah, the Sirian energy, and I'll mention my ascendant is conjunct Mirzam, so not Sirius, but in the Sirius system, Sirius Canis Major system. And yeah, what happened was so very interesting. It was the 19th of January, which was the day after we'd had the really big sun flare, the X2. And it was as we were receiving the CMEs, it was a few hours into that CME flux that was coming to Earth. And so for me, it was evening, and I started watching. There's a YouTube channel. His name's Stefan Burns, and he integrates a lot of different interesting. He has a lot of different interesting perspectives that he integrates while he looks at the science of the sun weather and how it's affecting us on the planet. So I was looking at a video that he had done about this epic incoming CME that was very potent. And I was feeling it in my body as well. I should mention, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that the day before, which was our new moon in Capricorn, I was fortunate enough to be taking part in a group practice in a very beautiful love-focused crucible among Choose Love practitioners. And so that we had a very deep practice. And so I really had this very fresh and fulsome, nurturing energy that I'd been grounded in from the day before. And so then as these CMEs are coming and arriving at Earth, this tremendous amount of energy coming from our sun, I was aware that I was having a physical reaction to this. I could feel it, which I think it would feel maybe almost a little bit like a low-grade anxiety attack. So I wasn't experiencing it with anxiety, but physically what was happening are things that I have in the past experienced as anxiety, if that makes sense. So I'm really grateful for the experience that I had as the circumstance of having been deeply engaged in this choose love practice the day before, because I was aware in that moment that had I not, I don't know how my body would have been experiencing those frequencies. And I don't know that I would have been able to be as grounded and calm about it as I was. And so then I got a very intense tinnitus in the right ear. And that's the moment when I thought, okay, I hit pause on the video and I thought, wow, this is really affecting me. And I went inward, just quiet. I closed my eyes, stayed where I was. And as I closed my eyes to just acknowledge what I was feeling, this is when I began to receive this insanely clear download of the energies of Sirius, among other star nations, but individuated, plasmic, but individuated energies, intelligent from Sirius, as well as other star nations, coming to Earth into our solar system, either on or as three-eye atlas. This part wasn't very clear. The sense that I have is that they are traveling in their light bodies, but as a group. And so as a group, it's appearing to us as a comet because we're humans and we would freak out if it was something else. If it wasn't looking like something that we could put into some sort of framework, what would we do, right? We don't know how to, I mean, some of us would be willing to continue to still, but how do we parse this in our 3D, here we are world? So it's arrived looking as a comet. And of course, in our scientific official astronomical nomenclature, it gets named Three-Eye Atlas. And how perfect is that? To me, just the naming of it is like divine intervention, so that we can't overlook the idea that there's something coming to us from galactic cosmic space that is awakening us. And so as I received this information of these individuated light frequency beings and intelligences coming to us through Three-Eye Atlas into this solar system, that then as Three-Eye Atlas had previously passed near our sun, some of those energies and frequencies, the purpose in that was so that some of those frequencies could kind of get off at the sun like a transfer hub to be able to then come to Earth. Somehow this is very clear that they can't just kind of decide, okay, I'm near Earth, I'm going to get off and go to Earth. It has to be transited through the sun. And of course, there's lots of my rational mind that's like, what are you? And I thought, okay, no, just be quiet. There's important business going on here. So I shushed.
You did not, just to be clear, you did not call this in. You did not meditate with an intention. I'm going to call in my Sirian star family.
No.
So this is something where, thank goodness, with your background and understanding about the galactic heritage and knowing the names of other star systems, like again, going through Julia's course, it was probably a good thing. I know how to hold this.
For sure.
Individuated plasmic intelligence coming towards you.
Yeah.
And then,
so
yeah.
It very much, yeah, it became clear now because of my own Sirian connection. And while I was not looking, like you, as you said, no, I wasn't sitting meditating intentionally seeking any kind of download or asking for any of that. Certainly, I've been consciously open to receiving information from the star nations and galactic energies that serve our highest good. And that's through both the galactic astrology work and the choose love, because this is the choose love readings, which connect through the Akash. This is angelic energies, angelic frequencies. And I've worked with Metatron for a number of years. So, we encompass all that is, and it has very much felt to me that both of these modalities work together, for me, through me. And so as I experienced that tinnitus, and it was a visual in the video I was watching, which I can show you that as well, that just, it immediately triggered these things. It was like something,
Yeah.
you said you get those energetic spikes and you needed the poke. And I apparently needed that too, because I needed the visual and the tinnitus and the, hey, you've been paying attention,
Yeah. And
for it to connect for me.
the particular color blue, this radiance of blue, for me as an artist, it's like there's blue that bends towards red, and then there's blue that bends towards, green. And so it's like, all right, how to hold it. But it's this, I don't know. I love that you weren't expecting it. We were all kind of a buzz about Three Eye Atlas. And now that it's February 2026, it's almost like we're on to the next thing. But to record this moment, it's interesting that you worked with Choose Love on 118 and looking at the numbers. And then 119, 2026, you've got a lot of ones and nines adding up. So Sirius, just a quick shout out to those who are already studying astrology. Do you happen to remember again, or can we restate your Sirian natal star points? Is there a conjunction to
Mine is, I have my ascendant conjunct Mirzam.
Mirzam? Okay, close enough to Sirius. But is there any other marker with the star Sirius A, B, or C? Just wondering.
You know what? I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I have my Mercury trine Sirius A, Venus sextile Sirius A, Mars square Sirius A.
Okay, well, let's go to that Mercury trining Sirius A.
And Chiron squaring.
So, that. So until the question comes in. So it sounds like you have quite a bit of natal moment, points of light working with this most magnificent star. And for those of you who are still new to getting a better understanding of Sirius, a little bit of the thumbnail history is it is connected to the Egyptians, right? So this is where we hear the lore of, as a pharaoh passes, dies on earth, his solar arc boat brings him back to the place of beginning. So it's this Merkaba of sorts, going back to the brightest star in the heavens as a kind of a return to where I've come from. And I love that your pendant, you're wearing a Merkaba. And so
I am, yes.
Right. And so whether it's like looking at that beautiful glyph you brought us from Sirius, that might activate someone watching, or looking again at Three Eye Atlas, this idea of how important the brightest star in our heavens, Sirius, is. And yes, Mirzam is in the constellation with Sirius of Canis Major, the large dog. This is Orion's, the hunter's, one of the hunting dogs, the big dog and the little dog.
That is plasma coming to us from the sun. So when the sun flared, a hole opened up and out came plasma. And because of the position of that being directed towards Earth at the time it happened, we received the frequency of this coronal mass ejection. And this, where I hit pause, because you mentioned the numbers, isn't it interesting? I hit pause at 222, and I just kind of went, oh, wait, I have to pause. And it wasn't until after that I went, oh.
So tell us what we're looking at. Is the hot red, is the carmine red the sun?
No, this is looking at the image, on the right side is the sun, and the left is directed towards Earth. So this is the very deeper red is actually the plane of the Earth's atmosphere. So this is the CME as it's making impact with Earth's atmosphere.
Look at that mushroom shape that's on top of it.
What really grabbed me was seeing that shade of deep blue at the center of that incoming before it diffused and dispersed. And that was what I just kind of, I was already having the tinnitus and I was already feeling it in my body. And I saw that blue and I went, oh, this is Sirian energy. And I hit pause because I just thought, I can't keep listening. I need to listen to other information right here. And so that was fascinating. I was very clearly aware that primarily Sirian energy is what I was tuning in with. And my sense is that that is the primary initiating energy, and that others are also in accompaniment with it, other star nations, other guiding, assisting, supporting frequencies. And not only are they coming to Earth, and clearly it's coming through, this energetic is coming through Earth, but very specifically, these different star nations, as their energetics are coming through the sun's active time through to Earth, they are reuniting with the individuals who already carry some of that frequency within them. And I actually also think it connects with generational dates of birth. I have still to look into this a little further because I've seen, at least in some instances, where it can correlate with there being sun activity at the birth time as well. And
Wow.
so, if this is a pattern
Mm-hmm.
of these energies that sort of use the sun as a transit point, I wonder what else was passing through our solar system at those times that maybe we didn't recognize or see or detect at the time. Um,
Beautiful.
so this
And
is
you,
connecting back and activating many, many people, and they may not understand what they're feeling, but to know that these cosmic and galactic energies are coming back for our own support. And I'll
and
just
the,
show.
and it's interesting. I'm going back to the name of your website, Quantum Sunrise. This idea of working with the sun, right? Um, and this idea of validating what you felt to be Syrian energy with that blue, and then later seeing the image of that particular blue. And you and I were talking before about, I love Amma and the hugging saint. And oftentimes she will turn this particular blue very much like Krishna. And it's a
Mm,
high level, there's many blue star beings, but it is all focused around the heart and love.
yes.
And again, the mother, love.
Luckily, only showing two aspects right here, and they start with Sirius. So I have the
Oh,
star Sirius here is at 1426. So what I did was take, this is the chart at the time that that CME was coming through. So it's from a few hours earlier than when I was looking
oh,
and having that download, but it's at the time that all of that energy was coming through from the sun and arriving at Earth. And the two aspects that Sirius has out of all of these things that I
oh
have
my
plotted in the
God.
chart, the only two aspects that showed with a tight orb, mind you, but was a quincunx to the great attractor and a trine to the asteroid Karma.
Oh my goodness. And that date, that moment, I have Sirius sitting on my natal Mars in the 10th house. So
Uh,
interesting that we're talking and bringing this message out to the world. That's phenomenal.
was yeah. So this is just a transit. This isn't my chart. This is just the chart at that time.
Yeah.
But this is again just the day after we had the new moon. So at the time, we had the sun conjunct Astraea in Capricorn at 29 degrees. There's
Wow.
completion, there's endings, closures, full
Mhm.
maturation. And Astraea is, this Greek
Right.
goddess who was placed into the stars, favored, for her to shine. There's so much happening in here. Pluto conjunct Venus at three
Yeah.
degrees Aquarius. I mean, there's
We
really a great, great deal.
but just to clarify too, when you said karma, you meant also the vertex. So people may,
No, there's an asteroid right here called Karma.
oh my goodness, that's what
Yeah,
karma looks like. Oh, I'm gonna have to go find that in my own chart. 14 degrees of Scorpio.
yeah.
Wow.
So there's a trine to Sirius with Karma, with the asteroid Karma. And at the time that we're receiving, like how this is closing a loop, a karmic loop of individuals who hold this Sirian frequency, who have had many, of course, I mean, the stories and lifetimes and experiences that we have that have in some way given us a flavor of understanding ourselves as separate from love, separate from oneness, separate from source. All of these are, I mean, we can't be. We are source experiencing itself, but we've had all these different lifetimes and experiences of feeling separated. And this, at this time now, as how it seems to me so super clear, but as I receive that information, I see this Sirian energy closing a karmic loop, you know, resolving the density of the matter of karma and transmuting that through
Yeah.
alchemical spirit to light.
What does the Syrian starseed energy mean to you, Tara?
I feel it very much as the ancient Egyptian mystery schools and also the ancient Vedic wisdoms, which are in some ways more alive, let's say, than the Egyptian mystery schools, because Vedic culture has continued in very many different sort of flavors in India. There's so many there's so many pieces of this that are still alive, and so many of it which are the very reason we're here now, because there has been this limiting, this sort of stamping down of the real spiritual wisdom, the real spiritual accountability to ourselves, for ourselves,
Hmm.
where we can receive this information of greater wholeness and recognize that all of that sort of magical alchemical power, you know, we think in maybe our more quiet and perhaps darker moments where we might be trying to process something, that we just want something bigger than us to be able to assist us, bigger than us to hold it or give us some insight.
Okay.
And in actuality, what we're holding within ourselves is bigger than we know. It's so much more than we know. And so the Syrian wisdom energy for me is an activation of that. It's a it's activating the permission to recognize this within ourselves, and then having done that, stepping forward to embrace that and begin to share that wisdom again. So many times through history, this was shut down collectively and for individuals for various reasons. We can look at the fall of Atlantis. We can look at any of the falls of empires and all of the various different, if we take any religious heritage and follow it back, they're all filled with some kind of strife, some kind of point of contention where two factions, you know, couldn't coexist. And now there's a right and a wrong in this religious custom or in this religious custom. And I've grown up with many of them, infusing my who I am and how I was raised. And so I've always had this insight that has been open to others being also paths people may choose. So I find a willingness comes naturally to me to say, well, wait, let's look at this another way. And it's that energy now that's coming back to say, okay, it may be easy to identify what looks like two sides of a coin. And I like one better because that one's good. And that one's no good. Nobody should get involved with that. That's just, what I see is that when we can move beyond that, we can still choose. We can still make a choice if we are feeling that it is a binary option we're presented with. Of course, make a choice that we feel is necessary. And I would say, but and make that choice, ensuring we're doing it not out of fear, but out of love. I'm choosing this not because I'm afraid of that bad thing that would happen if I choose the wrong thing. I'm choosing because I wholeheartedly feel a yes with this other option. It feels right. And so that Sirian wisdom comes in and kind of says, okay, I can work with your rational mind. I can. You just have to be willing to understand that your body will tell you when you are following something right. Don't depend entirely on the intellect, on the analytical portions. Yes, those are skills or attributes, characteristics, gifts, abilities that you have. And some of the Sirian energy is very technical, is very, like science and math focused. And it flourishes when it's guided towards a topic or a frequency or like what's the point of interest, which is something more than just an intellectual puzzle to solve. When it embraces something that engages the emotional body, which is also our physical being, then we have a holistic application of that intellectual mind that's supporting our spiritual expansion and our return to wholeness in that way.
Oh, felt like a spiritual download. So what I love is that you can just be living your normal life, doing what you love and following, the choice points of this fills me, this is my joy. And then suddenly an experience like what Tara had happens. And yet if you look back, she was already leaving herself breadcrumbs to understand and to hold an experience with Three Eye Atlas, our sun, knowing what a CME was, and then to understand how to work with Sirian starseed energy. I mean, when you look at the blueprints of what it is for this Homo sapien, this level, we have the Pleiadian star mothers. This is how the story goes with our Sirian forefathers. So you've got the divine masculine and divine feminine working together. But what it's done with you, Tara, it's like it just underscores the work that you've already been doing. And it feels like you're going to the next evolutionary big leap with quantum sunrise. In fact, for those of you listening, if you'd like, Tara has offered a free gift from her heart to yours so that if you want to get lighter, if you want to be aware of maybe some extra baggage that you may have been carrying, let me share her website. So Tara, on your website, you have what's called a Chiron ebook. And for those of you who go to Quantum Sunrise, her website, sign up for her YouTube channel. And you will receive if you want, a free Chiron ebook. Let me have you talk a little bit about that. Why is the Chiron ebook so important at this moment in time, Tara?
So the Chiron ebook is material from my presentation to the Galactic Astrology Quantum Soul Guidance Summit that Julia first, the inaugural summit, I guess, last year from 2025. And this was the topic. I went through each of the signs, and we have a signature with Chiron where he's placed in our charts. He is the wounded healer of Greek myth. He is the wise mentor to so many gods and the children of so many gods. And he was a centaur. His wisdom is where we find our wound in this lifetime, what it is that feels limiting to us on an emotional level. And there can always, of course, be so many layers to that. And where we find the wisdom of that information And when we have a Chiron return, which is typically 50 years for everyone, it can be between 49 and 51 where you'll really be feeling this energy. That's the time when Chiron will make a return to the place it was in our natal charts. And that's a time when deep alchemy takes place. It's just, I don't know how anyone, they may go through that unconsciously if they're not aware of the astrology, but it happens for everyone. That I would like bet money on. So if we're aware of this, we can do this work consciously in advance, even, knowing that this energy is coming forward. So if someone watching is approaching that time period in their life, I would encourage them to look at the Chiron placement in their chart, and explore where there may be tender places.
What I love about you is you typically can't go too far without the word alchemy coming forward. Alchemy, this idea of if you know where your wound is, and we all have one, it's like astrologer Pam Gregory says, it's the grit of the sand that helps create the pearl and the oyster. So when
Yeah.
you know where the wound is, instead of being victim consciousness, you just say, wow, thank you. And now I'm going to alchemize it and share with others the wisdom that I learned through my own process to help those either behind me or in front of me,
Mhm.
alchemize the wound into the gift. And so it's so nice of you to share this free PDF ebook. So if you'd like to get your free Chiron PDF from Tara, it's a fabulous book. She goes around all the 12 zodiacal signs. So you can find where your Chiron is and then learn how to alchemize the wound into the gift. And so going to Tara's website, Quantum Sunrise, she'll have you sign up for her email, and then you'll get the PDF. But we'd also like to encourage you to please go and check her out on her growing. It's a new and forming and wanting to launch her YouTube channel. So it's a delight to share Tara with you. Any final closing thoughts as we wrap this
Um,
chat up?
well, thank you again. And yes, the alchemical process, what I feel is coming forward with that at this time, because it's a little bit of a dichotomy, right? We're moving into this time where we're saying there's so much more light, and we're so many of us who are on this path and aware of what we've all been experiencing, and working consciously to bring more light and more love. It might feel to some like this is contractive, like, no, I don't want to look at those dark, like, this is about moving forward. And the thing is, we're moving forward with carry on baggage only. We do not want to have the great big 50-pound suitcase. And so whether you've been on this path of healing, path of ascension, we can choose the wording that we like, that works for us, that feels right. But if you've been on this path for some time, you might sort of think, well, I've dealt with a lot of these issues. And what I'll offer, and at least what seems the way in which the universe is speaking through me, is to suggest we look back maybe to some of these older issues that we have experienced in our life, not for the sake of going back to get into a groove and ruminate on something we've already resolved, but to go back and look as a witness. Ideally, we'll discover, how much of a witness do I feel have the capacity for? Have I really let go that situation, that wounding? Because when I revisit it, I'll see, is there some little thing that still actually feels tender? And it's time now for us to revisit some of these places, simply in order to say, oh, well, isn't that beautiful? I'm gonna, mourn, uh, wistfully enjoy the nostalgic company of that memory, whatever it may be, before I actually just let it go, because it is in the past. We have already experienced it. There's literally nothing productive that comes from us still holding that energy. And so while we move towards this new, lighter energy, this completely new paradigm, my sense, my feeling is that it's critically important for those of us who feel ourselves on the path to really attend to our own inner work, our own inner alchemy, so that as things accelerate, escalate, we, again, as Pam has said many times, Pam Gregory, that if you're getting a new kitchen installed, you have to demolish the old one. So, as that demo work kind of continues, it's important to know that we have actually moved all of it out, gotten rid of what's there without bypassing it, without judging it, without feeling shame. And all of that is alchemical work. So when we arrive at the place that perhaps some of these asteroids, as I've found, you'll see if you visit my YouTube channel, the alchemy and asteroids for the new Earth, that these are coming through to show us places that we may have already worked through that issue, but now these energies are coming through to say, there's maybe a different perspective on that you actually didn't see yet. And that's where we can do that work again. And it's actually so much lighter when we move through it that second time. And so we move forward by continuously taking what energies feel heavy, feel like they're calling us and, really pulling us down, the energies that we might feel are too heavy, too grounding, too weighty, and turn them around into fuel, right?
Well, thank you so much for all the sharing. And I want to just check back in with you later to see if some of that Sirian blue just continues to grow in your aura, or if you've had another three-eye atlas, just because it's not within our solar system right now. It doesn't mean that we can't, in quantum, go back and see if there was a message for me, or what kind of experience, all in the name of love and light. And yeah, you can't take the heavy baggage with us. So you might as well lighten up, like Tara said, and play this game of look at her PDF with Chiron and alchemize that wound as one of your star gifts. So it's like a key that unlocks doors for you.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we'll have to leave it there till next time. Thank you, Tara. And thank you, everybody, for coming on to the Ascension Playground. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.